guess you could say it's a balanced breakfast.
What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Well, the time has come. Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts has come to an end, surprisingly. It only lasted 3 seasons, and I kind of appreciate it for being so concise with its storytelling. It's kind of surprising because I think the entirety of Kipo happened all in this year. Of course, this year has also seen a lot of things happening in it, so a show beginning and ending is not really that surprising in comparison. So after watching the final season, I believe that my thoughts on Kipo, both the show and the character, have changed a bit. And what do I mean by that? Well, let us go ahead and buckle into our favorite giant treehouse with our talking cat friends and all the other talking animal friends that we have made throughout our journey. Let us use our crazy giant mutant powers to turn into an animal and smash the like button. And let's dissect this little show, shall we? So before continuing on, of course, let's go ahead and dissect the Speedpaint. So the Speedpaint is actually a reference to Steven Universe. It's the infamous derp face that Steven makes very early on in the series when he's making pancakes. And I do this because there's a lot of parallels I noticed between Steven Universe and Kipo. In fact, I think in my first Kipo video, I made comparisons between Kipo herself and Steven. So I thought it was appropriate to show 2 pink children who inherited superpowers from their mother, who happened to stop a race war through the power of song, friendship, and pancakes. You know, I figure I'd show them as the same character, because in a way they kind of are. All right, well, this goes without saying, but there will be spoilers from here on out, so you are warned. What are my thoughts? Well, you see, I want to begin with where I was with Kipo Season 1 and 2. When I first saw Kipo, I was hesitant with it because I really liked the premise, but I really didn't like Kipo herself, the main character. I believe at the time I used the M word, which is Mary Sue, to describe her because I felt the term was apt at the moment because it seemed like the story was going out of its way to kind of cater to her whimsical nature, when for some reason it was still also trying to pitch itself as a setting where everything is dangerous and will chew you up and spit you out. Season 2, I softened up not on Kipo, but on the show in general because it expanded upon the villain at the time, Scarlemagne, and Scarlemagne ended up being, I think, my favorite character in this whole series. And so because they gave me so much with Scarlemagne, I warmed up to the show a little more, but they didn't really do much with Kipo. Now, after Season 3, I can say that I do like the show a bit more, and finally, I do kind of like Kipo more. They finally improved her in a way that I, in my opinion, feel is satisfactory. One of the main complaints I have with Kipo is actually one of the main complaints I had with the show in general, and it's something that I'm noticing is kind of a trend in a lot of these newer animated series. If you watch my other videos, I talk about something called, that has been coined not by me, but by others, as Marvel Syndrome. And kind of the quick and dirty takedown of what Marvel Syndrome is the concept of a scene can never be truly serious without some character cracking a joke to kind of ruin the moment. You can never have like a truly sincere moment between 2 characters, or you can never have like a moment of true fear or true stakes without someone like making a one-liner or doing something to kind of ruin it. And there's kind of a subset of Marvel Syndrome I'm noticing that's happening, that happens in Kipo a lot and has happened in other animated shows that I'm going to, for lack of a better term, dub Uwu Syndrome. And what I mean by that is a lot of the time characters try to be cutesy at inappropriate times. They'll crack a little joke, or they'll do a little like cute thing. The best example I can give is anytime they try to do something about like friendship this, friendship that, and like for example, in this season, Kipo is trying to make an alliance between mutes, which is what they call the mutant animals, and humans, and it's called like the Human Mute Friendship Alliance Forever Happy Cakes something, right? And the fact that like she's being really cutesy about it, like friendship squad, ho ho, pancakes, yay hoo, you know, that kind of stuff is is kind of grating because it fits that Marvel syndrome idea of degrading a moment that could be sincere or that could have like weight to it and trying to cute it up for it's like mugging at the camera. It's very grating. And there is a place for stuff like that. You know, you can have characters who like to go, hoo-hoo, friendship, hoo-hoo, pancakes. You know, you can have that. You know what it reminds me of now that I'm talking about it? It reminds me of the lol so random thing that you saw a lot in the early 2000s with like Invader Zim, right? Where you'd say tacos and moose and waffles, right? And you try to be all cutesy by being lol so random. Like it's a phrase, lol so random. It's like a thing. You can look it up online. I feel now that like, uwu cutesiness is kind of the new lol so random. And I felt like Kipo was the biggest perpetrator of it because they were trying to make her the innocent character who didn't know what it was like to be out on this big bad surface. And I felt like that uwu syndrome gave her too much plot armor, hence the reason why initially I dubbed her a Mary Sue. Now in this series, in this final season, Kipo still has a lot of that going on, but it's kind of been toned down because, ironically enough, now that they gave her the Mega Jaguar powers, she basically now has superpowers that she can, fool around with. And they show her getting like physically beaten up a lot more because now that she's superpowered, she can handle it. So it's funny that now that they've buffed her, they finally are not afraid to pull their punches, in this case literally, and knock her around. So in a way, giving her the OP Mary Sue superpowers actually ended up making her less of a Mary Sue in my eyes, because finally she was able to feel the consequences of what it's really like to be on this, big bad surface. And I feel like that is the biggest the biggest improvement about Kipo, is that now since she's finally fighting for this alliance, she was getting knocked around and she was finally starting to realize that, how serious of a matter this was. The other kind of highlights of this season, this final season, was the redemption of Scarlemagne. Because in this, Scarlemagne is kept in a cage, and Kipo tries to do the Steven Universe thing of befriending him, and eventually it comes around because it shows that she's actually willing to care, willing to understand, and he kind of begrudgingly goes along with it at first, and then he, and then he decides to really help out and ends up being sincerely sorry for stuff. So it was interesting to see his character turn around. I think mostly what it was is that it seemed like he was so confused as to why Kipo goes out of her way to try to befriend everyone, like Steven Universe, hence the comparison, that he was almost endeared to her own form of moxie that she has. If I were to rewrite Kipo myself, if I were the king of the forest, as I usually do when I talk about if I were to do different things, I don't think Kipo would be the main character. Or at least not the focal point. I think this would be a really cool show to try the shtick of the main character is the one observing the hero doing stuff. Kind of like a Don Quixote kind of deal. Because Wolf, honestly, is the most captivating character as far as the plot goes. Even though I like Scarlemagne more than Wolf, Wolf I think is definitely my second favorite character. And seeing her go from this hardcore survivalist to someone who learned how to love, much in the same way Scarlemagne did, was an interesting journey for Wolf. So if I were to see this done again, it would have been interesting to see it from Wolf's perspective. Anyway, ultimately, I think I'm going to say that I enjoyed this show. First of all, I want to say that it's great we are seeing some original content as opposed to yet another remake or yet another reboot. So I don't want to poo-poo on Kipo too much because I don't want to discourage new original content. I'm very happy they made something new. I really like the premise. I really do. It's really fascinating that the fact that in a post-apocalyptic world, all the animals are mutated and can talk. And I really like the idea of the bridge between the worlds is a character who has half mutant powers. I'm a big sucker for hybrid powers where you do stuff like Dante from Devil May Cry is half demon, or you got Blade, who's half vampire, or if you want to go really crazy, you can do like they do in Underworld, where Michael Corvin is half Lycan, half Lycan, half vampire, so he gets all of their perks and none of their detriments, and so all that stuff. But I ultimately just didn't feel it with Kipo until towards the end, and even then it was like, well, now she's kind of better, but I didn't develop as much love for her as I did with some of the other characters. While I'm still thinking about it, some of the shout-outs is I really love the dynamic between Benson and Dave. For example, like, okay, there's a very specific episode and a very specific moment where Dave is screwing with Benson. And it was the funniest moment in the series because, like, Benson steps on a bug and, Dave, of course, is bug. And he's like, dude, you just stepped on a bug. Can't believe you do that. If we're going to be even, I have to find a tiny human to step on. And so, like, Benson's really freaking out about it. And, of course, he was just screwing with him with that. And that literally got me laughing out loud, which is a rare occurrence. I don't know if there's a nice way to say this, but I'm going to preface what I'm about to say, which I don't mean it to be this mean, but Kipo is a show marred by its main character. The fact that I didn't really engage with her that much, and marred is kind of a strong word, but it's the only one I can think of at the moment. But despite being marred by Kipo herself, I ultimately really enjoyed the show, and it was kind of that one step away from greatness. But despite that one step away from greatness, I recognize ultimately that is a personal opinion of mine. I just did not click with the main character, and that was the only major flaw of the cartoon. But beyond that, Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts, it's still solid. If anything, watch it for the other characters besides Kipo. That is its strong suit. The not Kipo characters. Anyway, with all that said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today, so you people know what to do. If you like what you see and you want to see more, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know what comes next. In addition, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Kipo, if you liked it or hated it, or if you think I'm wrong, or what have you. In addition, go ahead and share the video because it's good for me, it's good for you, it's good for planet Earth. It's good for the environment. And it lets people know that you watch good content, of course. And of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the interbuts, go ahead and hit up my links here on the screen. Particularly, of course, as I always do, minds.com, because it is the new alternative social media site that I'm using more and more, because I greatly encourage market competition in these trying times. So, with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you all stick around, and until next time, a riddly diddly ding dong deuces.